Good morning. Good morning, legacy builders. Good morning. Come on in, my first gen legacy builders. Welcome to another Tea Time Tuesday. I see you pop up. Welcome, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, our fabulous Facebook community. Good morning. Good morning, Tamika. Hot apple cider with cinnamon. Oh, yes. That is perfect for a beautiful fall day. Thank you for sharing. You know what to do. As always, let me know what you're drinking, tea, coffee, water, whatever your beverage of choice is. Just let me know. Good morning, Beverly. Great to see you. All right, let me get my sip before we get going. All right. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Marcella Mullen Williams. I am a licensed behavioral financial advisor and the co founder of Legacy Builder Group, a holistic coaching and investment firm where we help families create financial certainty and build impactful, multi generational legacy wealth. That's what we're all about, and that's what we talk about this morning. Good morning, Mark. Coffee, vanilla cream. Very nice, Beverly. Good morning, Kyla. Great to see you here with spicy cranberry lemonade. Yummy. Sounds great. I love it. So today, let's get into it. Oh, good morning to my dad on Instagram. And for all of those joining me on Instagram, thank you. We are going to dive into a topic that I think is fascinating and obviously relates to us here in this community, and that is new money versus old money. And especially in particularly, what we're going to talk about is what first gens, high earners can learn from old money families and how they can use it to build legacy wealth that truly lasts. So, first, let's get clear on what we mean by old money and new money, because I don't want to assume that we are all on the same page. So, what am I talking about when I say new money and I say old money? New money is wealth that was recently acquired. So perhaps you're an entrepreneur or a high earning career professional or a recipient of a financial windfall. That's what new money is. Old money, on the other hand, is often represents wealth that has been passed down from multiple generations, generations and generations. And so you can think of like the Rockefellers and the Carnegies. They're old money passed down from multiple generations, right? And so when you think about old money versus new money, this dichotomy has been displayed in multiple films and television shows throughout the years. I'm sure you've watched certain shows, and most recently, a show that my daughter turned me on to. She said, "Mom, I think you'll like this." And she was right. It's called The Gilded Age. Is anyone familiar with the show The Gilded Age? It's like, well, she describes it as a new American Downton Abbey. So, if I'm saying that right, that's the show my husband watched. I didn't watch that show, but I do watch Gilded Age. I want to know if anybody else. Am I the only one that knows this show? I know my son, my watches it. My husband, like I said, my daughter. So, well, if you don't know what the show is, let me just let you know. It's a historical drama set in the 1880s. And it really just explores the social and economic divide of the New York City's elite at the time. And it was all happening during the American Industrial Revolution. So there was a lot happening. Wealth was being accumulated, and you had old money families. And then in this show, there was this constant tension between the old money families and one particular new money family, who obviously capitalized from the Revolution, and they moved into the city with these old families, and some things were going on there. So that's what the show is about overall. And of course, right up my speed, right? Totally. I really do like this show. And so with that in mind, really old money families, their focus is on the family history. They create systems, they have values and habits, and they build it to maintain not just the money, but the overall legacy. Legacy means a lot for old money families. And so, like I mentioned, the Rockefellers have systems, values, and habits that sustain them for generations. So in the Gilded Age, you can see how the old money families feel threatened by the new family that's into town. And it's interesting because really we can see that today in various ways where old money or people who have been around or feel like they've established themselves feel threatened by new ways of being. But that's a whole nother conversation. So it shows up in this film. But what I want to do is really borrow some of the principles that have allowed these old money families to preserve and grow wealth over generations while embracing new money opportunities to create your own unique family legacy experience. Okay. So it's not, when I say old versus new, it's not better or worse or who's, what to choose. No, it's blending, it's merging and understanding the value in both. And we're going to take, again, with the old money, there's experience, there's again systems, values, principles, habits that have already been there, and we want to pull from that so that we can establish that in what we are building in this community. So let's look at some of these old money principles. And one of the first things we notice about old money is that they have a long-term perspective. The long-term perspective they take with wealth is first and foremost, right? It's a mindset. Remember, I always say it always starts with a mindset. long term, right? Every financial decision isn't just about today, about years, even decades down the line is what today's financial decisions are about. So it's not just about today, it's about looking into the future and making decisions and seeing how your decision today will impact generations to come. So imagine if every decision, every financial choice you made wasn't just about you, but about the people who'd come after you, your children, your grandchildren, all of the community members that are connected to you. That's a powerful shift in thinking because and this is what I want you to get why it's so powerful. Because yes, we say this, we talk about this in this group, but I want you to understand there are ways that we may not realize why it's so important to have a legacy mindset. One of the things is that it instills a higher sense of purpose in us. And there's so many people out here who lack purpose, who lack seeing their value and their significance. And as a legacy builder, that is one less problem you will have because you understand the value in your actions today and how it causes a ripple effect in the future. And you're intentional about it. And all of that can actually reduce, it can help to significantly reduce anxiety, financial fears, and actually shift you from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset because you're not just worried about everything that goes wrong today and everything that happens. You understand, hey, life has ebbs and flows and I will adjust. I know how to adjust to them because I am a legacy builder and I am a legacy thinker. So that's just one thing I want you to keep in mind why it's so important to adapt that long-term perspective because it really is so much more purposeful when you can think long-term versus short-term. In old families, they also focus on preservation over display, right? So again, this helps that comes from that long-term perspective. When you're focused on preservation over display, it means that we stay away because with new money, sometimes you can have a tendency of going into showing success on us, right? Nice cars, high-end name brands, fancy vacations, and that's totally okay. I am not bashing that. I am not belittling your choice to have any of these things. Life, we want to enjoy life. You work hard, you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's fine. What I am talking about is blending in the preservation mindset, blending those desires and but while focusing on preservation, right? So knowing that not every dollar has to be spent, but you are both spending and preserving. And that can add layers of stability that so many of us truly desire deep down inside. You know, I do a lot of I help people to discover their values and their purpose for money and my when I do value assessments. And I see it a lot. I know what are the top values that most people have. And stability, security is really those are on the top. And when we understand and have a legacy mindset about preservation, that helps us to feel more stable. So, another key element in old money is family education. Family education. I want you to think about this. When there's multiple multi-generational wealth, there's also multi-generational knowledge. Okay. So where there's multi-generational wealth, there's multi-generational knowledge. Just imagine how powerful it would be if your kids and your grandkids learn and all the young people in your family learned about wealth at an early age. if they understood both responsibility and the opportunities wealth brings. It's a game changer. That is a game changer. So start thinking about the values and the principles you want to pass down. It doesn't always need to be formal, although I always recommend family meetings and having some formality to it. It just helps with structure, but it doesn't have to be, super formal. Even small conversations with family can create a foundation. Just creating the habit of having the money conversations, like we always talk about, right? And then these upcoming holidays, we've got Thanksgiving coming here in the US, we have Christmas. These are the best times to get these conversations going. Use these opportunities to gather family and start talking about the family legacy. Conversations around the family heritage, the culture, your culture, the things you want to, like I said, the values and the principles you want to preserve, even outside of money itself. But then begin to have subtle, gentle money conversations. All right. And with that, I believe comes with a sense of community impact because many old money families are deeply rooted in philanthropy. And here's the thing in this community, we talk about this and we often have to be mindful of some of the messaging going out about wealth and wealthy people, that they're greedy, that they don't give. And unfortunately, these are unhealthy messages that are put out there. And most of these narratives are false because many old money families, the wealthy people give a lot. There's a lot of philanthropy. They just don't always advertise it. And because we don't see it, we think it's not happening. But it does happen. The old money families are deeply rooted in philanthropy. And so through conversations and that I've had with people and like I said, the value assessments that I do, and many people in this community, I mean, I know that giving back, meaningful service, and philanthropy are so important to you. They're high up on your values. So create opportunities to give back as a family in ways that align with your values and your goals. That is powerful because, again, it adds to the responsibility factor, especially with young people. Teaching, and I touched on this last week. If you remember, I touched on that a little bit last week about adding opportunities for young people to be able to give back and share in philanthropic efforts. Does help with their mindset and understanding more of a true purpose for money other than just spending. So now that we go through and Mark has them all listed out, all the areas that I covered. So you can look back in the chats in the community to see what Mark posted there. Well, actually, before I move on, I do want to add one other thing because I talk about all these things, but we do want to enjoy life too, right? We want to enjoy life. We don't want to cut out the fun. All right. So I don't want to make it all about just preservation and doing, but we want to balance enjoyment with preservation because ultimately that is the key to building multi-generational wealth and creating a legacy. So what we need to do is set some boundaries around spending so that we can enjoy life but preserve. So I recommend prioritizing quality over quantity. So prioritizing quality over quantity and then find ways to celebrate meaningful milestones with purpose. And I love just really celebrating those things are that are important to the family, that are important to various aspects of the family legacy. I mean, so last week, Monday, and honestly, I'll admit I didn't get a chance to celebrate it yet, but last week, Monday was I can't remember the date, but I know it was last week, Monday, but I have it all marked on my calendar. It's my a personal holiday because it is the day my grandmother came to America. And I always acknowledge that day because I know there's the chances of me being here are less likely. She's the one that paved the way for my dad to come. And then I was born and she kind of set the foundation for me to be here. So that's for me is an extraordinary family milestone that will always be near and dear to my heart. And I celebrate it in various ways because I want it to be memorable for my children, and I want to be able to you always have value in that type of thing. But in all kind of ways, I want you to think about whether it's a birthday or family vacation. One, I'm always about making it meaningful. So, when properly structured, a family vacation can be a tax write off if it's a family meeting structured with a family business. But again, that's a different conversation. But those are ways that you can incorporate fun and preservation. So, why I bring up just making sure you have fun is because we are in this for the long haul. We're playing a long game here. So, just remember that you want to be able to balance wealth preservation with fun, with enjoying the fruits of your current labor, right? All right. So, how do we put all of this into practice? And again, and I feel like this is a refresher for many of you, but I want you to think about the legacy you want to create. And I'm always going to remind you to think about the legacy that you want to create. Start by defining what wealth means to you, not what you've been told wealth means, not what wealth looks like to everybody else, or what you see on Instagram or anywhere on social media. What does wealth mean to you? And what values do you want to represent it? Okay? If you understand, hopefully you understand what I mean by that. What does wealth mean to you and the values that you want to represent it? Then put a long-term plan into place. Whether it's setting up protective structures like life insurance or a trust, or simply making sure your family is involved in conversations about finance. Like I mentioned before, every step counts. I want you to be actively thinking about what am I doing today that is lending towards my future legacy. I have a saying that and it's a practice that I do. Do something every day that my future self will thank me for. That's how I manage to stay in my fitness routine, eat the way I eat, spiritual practices, all of the things that I do. I do something every day that my future self will thank me for. And so I want you to think about this in this way. Do something every day that your future descendants will thank you for. Have someone in mind. Like I have my future self in mind when I'm doing something every day. I want you to think about a great, 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 great niece, grandchild, whoever it is. So a future child in your community that you will support because of your endeavors today. That is one of the most motivating ways to get yourself going. And so our family legacy experience clients, also known as Flex Fam, I have some of Flex Fam in a group. Our Flex Fam know what I'm talking about today because they've gone through our process. They've learned strategies and developed the skills to carry out what I discussed today. And it's powerful. It's so powerful and fulfilling, and it elevates every aspect of your life. It's not just about the money. It shows up in a big way in with the money, but it is about living a more fulfilled life. So seek support. Legacy building is not something you should try to do alone. Absolutely not. Seek support. Remember that your financial success isn't just about you. Therefore, it's going to take more than just you. That's what Mark and I are here for. You can tell we're passionate about this. We've experienced aspects of this. We want to support you and to be able to build a strong, impactful legacy. It starts it starts with a legacy mindset, tapping into those old money skills. And now with that, you have the opportunity to lay a foundation for future generations to come. How amazing is that? So I applaud each and every one of you for joining me today. Thank you. Hello, Octavia on Instagram. It's Sheila and Tia. I see you all. And let's see. Beverly says, the life we live is the legacy we live. Absolutely. Sheila, Flex Fam. Yes, do something every day to create your future self. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. If you enjoyed this conversation, I hope you did. I hope you were inspired and you learned something, practical. You got some insight there. Kyla, Flex Fam. Sorry, I have to shout out all the Flex Fam. That's right. And yes, if you enjoyed the conversation, please share it with someone who could benefit from these insights. Invite them to the Facebook community or share share it on YouTube. That's why we're on YouTube. So you can just send out the link and say, oh, you need to watch this. I highly recommend all of these Tea Time Tuesdays are on YouTube. So I highly recommend you start sharing them with your family so that you can begin to have these old money conversations. Again, you don't have to do it on your own. That's what we're here for. And you can start with sharing this information. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Remember that next week, actually, November 19th, will be our last Tea Time Tuesday for the year. Yes, we're going on break. We are going to have replays every Tuesday. Remember, repetition is the key to mastery. So now's your chance to catch any of the past Tea Time Tuesday that you may have missed. You'll be able to catch those replays for the next month or so until we return in late January. So just keep that in mind. Rosalind, thank you for joining us. So glad you enjoyed this. And that's the end. Thank you again for joining me for today's Tea Time Tuesday, Legacy Builders. Join me next week, the last one, where we will continue to develop the behavior that will build your legacy. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.